Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk about when you go out to buy a new tree, what should you look for? How do you find the best tree for your home? And I thought I'd show this on a Ficus Microcarpa, as you can see right here, because especially for beginners, those are mostly the first trees that you will come across, especially if you look in box stores, in garden centers. So I thought it is the best to show you on the tree that you're most likely to get. And this is also the last Ficus Microcarpa that I actually purchased. I have not really worked on it, so it really looks as if I just brought it home from the box store basically. So it looked the same as I brought it back a month ago. And I thought, why not use this tree to talk a little bit about the factors you should look at when you try to decide which tree you want to bring home, when you bring it home, how to take care of it, and yeah, simply a little bit more basic stuff about Ficus Microcarpa. So let's get started. So the first thing I look at is the health of the tree, and often the leaves are the best indicator for the health of the tree. And you can see, for example, here, if you spot a lot of new growth coming in, and you can see this on those lighter leaves, for example, and you don't see any pests, because those are often also hiding on the underside of the leaves, for example, that is already a good indicator that the health of the tree is good. What we also can see is the roots of the tree, and often you find those trees in little cover pots. If there's roots coming out from the bottom, there could already be a sign that it might be a bit too tight in there. But if the soil itself is looking healthy, so it is not too moist, it doesn't grow anything, or it's also not completely dried out, that of course gives you already an indication that this tree should survive quite a long time in the soil without the need to repot it. So for example, here I still have it in your original soil. I think it's a coco coir and yeah, just a normal earth mixture that it seems to be doing quite well in. I managed this quite nicely so it doesn't dry out too much, and it seems to be doing fine for the winter right now. But I think come spring I will repot this tree nevertheless. So much about the health. What are other things you can look at when it comes to deciding what tree you should take? And of course, the biggest and most important thing is the look of the tree, and if you enjoy the look of the tree. And that was definitely the case with this tree. Let me show you from a different perspective. It is just so unique looking in the way it is leaning in here. I think there's a lot of potential with it to pot it up even more leaning in the future, and maybe then also already a bonsai pot. And I think that is something you always need to look at. What is the potential you see in this tree? What you can do with this tree over the next coming years, and how can you shape this and improve on the shape still? So for example, this tree not only has a nice form, it also has quite prominent aerial roots up here that are also looking very nicely and just, yeah, adding to the overall look of this tree in my opinion. Hopefully I can encourage some more of them to grow over the years and also reaching the soil. And even from this side, I think this tree just looks so cool, so interesting. So that is definitely also something, and probably the most important thing when you decide on buying a tree like this, on if you should take it or not. And of course, this only is the trunk in this case, but you can also really go in and look at the branch structure. Here, for example, we have one very thick branch, but there's a lot of ramification going on here. So many different branches that are also starting to branch out more and more in here. And that, of course, is also a sign that we can work with this tree come the next years or again and again. And there's a lot of potential and options that we have with this tree. And that is definitely something you can keep in mind when deciding on buying a tree like this. I already mentioned before that Ficus Microcarpa is probably the most prominent one you can find in normal box stores and garden centers. This is simply the case because they are quite easily grown, and they are commercially grown by using a big bulbous ficus root. So this is a ficus variety that grows quite fast and quite thick roots, and then most often they graft another variety on it. I'm trying to show you here. You can see the graft, for example. So here you can see the graft where this other form of ficus was grafted onto, because this form has simply smaller leaves, which of course are better fitting for bonsai, and that's how these are created. So if you are more of a purist, let's say, and you want a tree that is not grafted, then probably Ficus ginseng is not the right decision for you. There's other ficus varieties, for example, that you can find, but I still find those trees quite interesting, and they do have potential. And especially this one, as I said, think it has a lot of potential simply by the way it is looking. So definitely I would say give it a go, give it a try. I would recommend everybody to at least try once to work with Ficus Microcarpa. They might surprise you and are quite nice to work with and still have a lot of potential in my opinion. So definitely when you see them in a box store, just as I said, go ahead, look at the health of the tree, look the way it is shaped and the way it could be shaped over the next couple of years, and I think you will find a tree that has quite a lot of potential. How do we take care of a tree like this then? As I said, I didn't repot this in this case. Normally I do tend to repot my trees quite fast when I get them home. But as it's already now cold season here, I didn't want to risk stressing the tree too much. I have not worked at all on this tree until now, and I have had this now for at least a month, I would say. I will let this simply rest now for the rest of cold season, and then come spring I will start to work more on the foliage and maybe give it a repot. Just because I want to, as I said, adjust the shape and the position inside the pot a little bit. Because I think I will go for even a little bit more leaning, because this could even look good as a semi-cascade in the future, but that is still up for debate and I will see once I start to repot. But what else is there to do? Water it when the top layer of the soil gets dry. Keep an eye on the foliage. If you see a lot of new growth, of course, that's always a good sign. In winter it can happen you lose one or the other leaf. That simply is the case with most ficus, especially when it gets a little bit colder. Keep it in a bright, sunny windowsill, for example, inside. If you live in more temperate climates where it gets cold in winter, of course, you can during the summer keep it outside and then take it in once it gets colder. And then your tree should grow quite nicely. And in cold season, of course, you can use a grow light. That will also help with growth through those seasons. So I would say that's all there is to say about Ficus Microcarpa. I hope this gives you just a little bit of an idea on what to look for when you find those in the box stores, how you can pick the best for you, and yeah, what you can also work on then, how you can keep them happy and healthy so you have a tree for multiple years that you can work on and really shape to your liking. If you have any questions about this tree or any other Ficus Microcarpa that I have, feel free to leave those in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. If you enjoy my channel, feel free to subscribe to it, and hopefully I will see you in the next video. Until then, take care.